Dr. Ramesh sir, may I start?
Yeah, yes.
I hope I am audible and visible properly.
एक पानी सर है ना?
या पानी सर है.
हाँ पानी सर हाँ यस सर आपके माइक म्यूट है.
अरे नहीं वो कागज से ले आना मुझे सर नाम तो करना है ना.
Yeah, Shubham, please start.
Hello everyone on the other side of the screens out there, respected guests, principals, professors and peers. My name is Shubham. I'm a second year physics undergrad at Bhaskaracharya College of Applied Sciences, University of Delhi. And I hope everyone is doing wonderfully and heading towards their endeavors. In these tough times, following the norms and rules that keep all of us safe as a community is the call of hour. And keeping that in mind, the ECA committee of Bhaskaracharya College of Applied Sciences on the occasion of 75th Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav brings you this sublime national webinar where our distinguished speaker, Shri Vasudevan Gandhi, whom we'll be introduced to soon, will talk with us about his life with rocket science. Let us begin the program by seeking Lord Saraswati's blessing. I would like to call on screen Mr. Pradyum, a first-year zoology student, for the prayer. And I request everyone to exercise a moment of horizon.
हमारे
या कुंडेन्दु तुषार हार धवला या शुभ्र वस्त्रावृता या वीरावर दंड मंडित करा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्मार्चित शंकर प्रभृतिभिः देवै सदा वन्दिताम् सामा पातु सरस्वती भगवती निशेष जाड्यापः. हम सत्य से बचे सत्य पर चले प्रभु ऐसा वर दो. हम सत्य से बचे सत्य पर चले प्रभु ऐसा वर दो. सत्य मार्ग पर चल कर पाए अमन ज्योति का नया विहार. सत्य मार्ग पर चल कर पाए अमन ज्योति का नया विहार. शांति और सुख मिले हम सभी को सबका जीवन मंगलमय हो. सबका जीवन मंगलमय हो. हम सत्य से बचे सत्य पर चले प्रभु ऐसा वर दो. हम सत्य से बचे सत्य पर चले प्रभु ऐसा वर दो.
Thank you, Mr. Pradyum. Now, moving forward, I will request Principal Sir, Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, to enlighten us with his words and rally us all towards the event. Sir?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shubham. And good morning to you all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Professor Shri Vasudevan Gandhi, Padmashree Awardee, and I was the former ISRO scientist, and right now, and my dear colleagues and student friends. And here the topic in this program, that is my life with the rocket science. You know, when you have started your program with the chanting of the Ma Saraswati, this is our life. At that time, you just think about, means that the great scientist means he has stood up from his seat, this is the life. Okay, in normal way, day-to-day life, we are saying that if something is, somebody is asking somebody that you should do it, it is not a rocket science, isn't it? In day-to-day life, we are talking in that way manner. But rocket science, what is rocket science? It is a very, very difficult one, but it is the small one, you should do it. You can do it. Means that is, in the life and rocket science, they are, you can say complementary to each other, because the rocket science, it means in the real life sense, you will have to do in that space. Because rocket science means rocket, whatever difficult, whatever it is, you will have to achieve it throughout your life. Means once your target, your aim and objectives is clear, then you should try yourself to achieve that one. Means how to achieve that one, means in the rocket science it is called that you will have to generate interest on that field. If you will not generate your interest, if you think that okay, it is a burden to me, then you cannot do that. In that case, means you will have to generate your own interest. After getting the interest in that field, then you will have to plan it a proper way. Because you know that is the Mangalayana. They have tried it a lot and they have planned it very meticulously so that we have achieved a lot. But okay, in the last moment it was a failure, but still then, in the media core, we have achieved a lot, we are great success. Means that's why you will have to plan very meticulously. And after that, how to plan it, implement it, then the implementation part will be coming out, and you will have to, means if your plan is proper, then definitely you will go for the implementation, and once implementation is right, then definitely you will success. So this is the rocket science. Rocket science means you will have to, first of all, your aim and objectives must be clear. Second one, you should generate your own interest in that particular field. And third one, it is the proper planning. In case of your exam also, means you are all the students, if you will not proper, you will not plan in a proper way, definitely you will not do very well in your exam. Still, and that's why the proper planning is necessary, and after planning, then you will go for the implementation. So this is the, in your lifetime, in each and every step, these four pillars are quite necessary. And that's why everybody is saying that, okay, it is not rocket science, but still then, it's the rocket science, and the eminent scientist is here, he will tell all about, but I can say, if rocket is very, means it is moving at a very rapid speed, still then your life and your system should be taken into that system. You will have to cooperate and you will have to adjust with that speed so that you will achieve your goal. And you have invited me for this program, and I'm thankful to you all. And great scientist Shri Vasudevan, he is here, and he is the former ISRO scientist. He will tell you in an elaborate way, and definitely I am sure you will enjoy his lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your words full of zeal and uplifting our mood. Now, I would like to request our ECA convener, ECA co-convener, Dr. Vijay Nalya, sir, for his welcome note towards the speaker. Sir.
सर आपकी माइक म्यूट है सर. विजय सर, आपका माइक म्यूट है.
Thank you, Shubham. Good morning, all. First of all, I thank Dr. Balram Pani sir for his words of encouragement and inspiration. I also thank him for his support in organizing this event, although he is quite busy. Today, among us, we have a highly intellectual and celebrated personality, Shri Vasudevan Gandhi sir. I feel fortunate to meet him way back in 2011 during a orientation course at Osmania University, Hyderabad. His words of wisdom are such that even after a decade, I could recall his speech vividly. Such intellectual personality he is. Today, his presence is important and significant for our college because the occasion is celebrating 75 years of India's independence, and our college is an applied science college. So, presence of Gandhi sir truly stands in bringing both the contexts close so that it serves the purpose of this occasion, because he served in building new India through his research in rocket science. And the very subject is a perfect example of applied sciences for which our college stands for. With this, I would like to heartily welcome Vasudevan Gandhi sir to inspire our students and faculty with his words of wisdom. Now I request Shubham, student Shubham, to enlighten students as well as faculty about his biographical sketch about Gandhi sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, as a physics undergrad, rocket science is something of a spellbinding domain of science for all of us since childhood. It's my honor that I talk about Mr. Vasudevan Gandhi and his milestones now. An eminent personality in the area of cryogenic rocketry, Mr. Vasudevan Gandhi took his graduations in mechanical engineering from Tyagaraja College of Engineering, Madurai, and joined Indian Space Research Organization in 1968. He has contributed in the area of rocket propulsion widely, covering solid, liquid, and cryogenic rockets for the last 50 years. Mr. Gandhi has served ISRO in various responsible positions like Project Director of Cryogenic System Project and Program Director Cryogenic System Projects, Deputy Director SRQA, and Associate Director LPSC. He was instrumental in the technology acquisition of BCAS engine from France during 1976 to 79 and was responsible for the cryogenic technology acquisition from Russia in 1993. He has made the pioneering effects in cryo rocketry in India. Under his overall leadership and guidance, cryogenic upper stage engine has been developed and successfully tested, demonstrating this most complicated technology. In recognition to his contributions to Indian space program, Shri Gandhi was given Astronomical Society of India Award 2002 by President of India. Government of India has also honored Shri V. Gandhi with the Padmashree Award for his outstanding contribution to ISRO and our country in the area of launch vehicle development, with particular attention to most complicated cryogenic rocketry. He also obtained Performance Excellence Award in ISRO. He is involved in the development of hydrogen bus with Tata Motors currently. Currently, he is working as a senior vice president of Skyroot, which is an Indian startup company which develops rocket launch vehicles for small satellites. He is also passionate in delivering talks on rocket propulsions and meeting young and aspiring scientists. So without further ado, before Sir adds the golden feather to this event, I will request Dr. Olivia ma'am to come and deliver the basic rules and the rules that should be followed by students while in the webinar. Ma'am?
Yeah, thank you, Shubham. Thank you. Warm greetings to all. So to maintain the smoothness of the webinar, it is important for the participants to note a few vital points. It is my, first of all, a humble request to all to please keep yourselves in mute mode throughout the webinar. Although your active participation is important throughout the session, so you may please enter your questions or comments in the chat box throughout the session. They will be addressed at the end of the webinar. All participants also need to fill the feedback form, on the successful submission of which you will receive the participation certificates. While filling up the feedback form, you will be needing the OTP that has already been mailed to all the registered participants. Thank you and enjoy the session.
Sir?
Yeah. Dr. Balram Pani and Vijay Kumar Nalla, professors, and my dear students. It is a great honor for me to come and present my experience with you in rocket science. In two ways, I am happy today because it is the 75th independence celebration part of that you are celebrating this. I am also 75-year-old. So maybe that is one of the reasons Vijay Kumar might have taken into consideration. And well, even after 10 years, and Vijay Kumar is still remembering me and keeping my number to contact. It is really, it was giving an immense pleasure to come and talk to the students. And first of all, I congratulate all the students to take the science as the career for their future. And it is the need for the country. And I always, wherever I go, I talk. Our country is, we are time being, everybody wants to go for, like engineers or doctors. And if I'm correct, for the last 2 decades, we have not paid more attention to the basic science. And I am at least very happy. It is applied science people, and you have taken physics, chemistry, biology, and all other things in your career. And I feel very happy to share my experience with you. Maybe I will start with my career, how I started. So what I am trying to talk is my experience. It is not I'm not going to write any big equations or anything in this one. So like anybody in India, 40 or 50 years back, everybody was from a small village. I am also in a very remote village. Till my school days, there was no electricity or road to my village. So I used to walk to the high school and started my career. And even I was not knowing much about what is the higher studies and higher study. So I tried, from my interesting subject, if you ask, okay, it was science. I want to be a teacher. Okay, that was my first aim. Then later when I moved to a small, I thought, why not I will become a electrical engine because it moves very huge in nature and all those things. So I was amazed. So that kind of, from the village I was talking. Then when I finished my pre-degree, so everybody said, okay, why not engineering? So those days, you believe it or not, in whole Tamil Nadu, there was only 5 engineering college. Maybe today, maybe 500 college. Even if you just throw a stone, definitely it will fall one of the engineering college. So it's good because after 75 independence, we have got many colleges and institutes for educating our. And today in the world, I think our students are excelling in all areas. I am very proud. So I also graduated in 1968 and mechanical engineering. Well, at that time, because of the Chinese war, our country was in a very bad shape. So there was no job. So even with the to give the job. So we don't know Space Science Technology Center. So a small advertisement for propulsion engineer. So I wrote. So one column was there. They written anything you like. If you want, you can mention. We don't know something I have to write specifically, so that they will call me for an interview. So we all discussed with my sister, daughter, and other things. So we thought. So I write a few sentences. Oh, when I go out and see the universe, there are millions of stars and other things. I am wondering. So I want to learn more about it. Like that, something blah blah I have written. Maybe somebody was a little interested, so they called me for the interview. So the interview was over. And then later I came to know in the interview committee, the propulsion chief, Mr. Dr. A. Muthanayagam, and Dr. Kalam, he was there. And still I remember the questions, what they asked, because at that time, it was, getting the job is very interesting. So Kalam asked physics question, and he asked radiation is T to the power of what? Maybe my lucky number is 4. I said 4, so I got selected. So I entered SSTC. Those days, very few engineers we are. So I am one of the luckiest man. I could start working from solid, liquid, and cryogenics, and later little bit on all other sciences. So, and also I am lucky enough to work from Sarabhai onwards. So when I started, Sarabhai was there. He used to come from Mumbai to Trivandrum very often. So I used to have a lot of, because those days rockets are very small. Maybe we call it RH-75, RH-100, and RH. Maybe I will. So Sarabhai, he is the visionary, and he said we must be second to none, especially in the application of advanced technology. Maybe you are also advanced college for science. I think his vision is also good for your thinking. So we should be self-reliant in space endeavor. Okay, many of you may be interested to do. So he is the person, having a magnetic power. I say when we talk to him or you see him, and he attracts, and he delivers talk, and nicely he encourages the people and to work. So first 2 years, of course, we are unlucky. In 1970 itself, he started. This is a small rocket when I started working. This we call it, of course, even smaller than that also I worked RH-75. So when I joined, and I said very few engineers, they have given a small tiled house. Those days there was no big buildings. Now today, of course, if you go to VSS, it is a very mammoth big buildings and other things, 9-story buildings and all. But when I joined, there was not, so the fishermen were evacuated and the houses were available. So one of the tiled house they were given to us to do some work. So they arranged a bread maker, kind of a blender to mix. So I used to mix ammonium perchlorate, and of course Kerala it is plenty available is natural rubber. So we take a rubber and mix it, and so always when I see the propellant, there was a lot of blowholes. So I don't know why it is coming. So as a young engineer, I put both sides a plate and tighten it. You believe it or not, when I put it in the oven, luckily 11 o'clock, I am supposed to walk for some more time to take my food. So I started walking on the sand. So there was a very big explosion. So that was my first failure, or I can say explosion I created in. But afterwards, I'm very notorious to blast many rockets in ISRO. So even today, when I reach there, people used to say I'm the maximum rockets I might have exploded. So then they performed a committee and all those things, and we have seen. And the day I understood what is energy. So the propellant is chemical, it is combined. So due to thermal, it tried to expand. I didn't allow, so I put a plate on both sides, so it exploded. So next time I put a spring and allowed a little bit expansion, so it was good. So that was the first learning curve for me in solid rocket. So we started RH-75, and RH-75 we used rubber base, I said, and Sarabhai was happy, but unfortunately, that kind of experience we had. Then all the project directors like Muthanayagam was carrying RH-125, Kalam was project is called Manaha, and this is multi-stage rocket for Muthanayagam. So once I still remember Manaha, which is Kalam's rocket, and we launched. It is only 125 dia, maybe the propellant is only 20 or 23 kg. So it took off and immediately plunged into the sea. He thought it's over. So you believe it or not, within few seconds, it came up from the sea again to see us. So these are all the memories, good memories, or even well. Why I'm telling is the failures, it taught lot of, at those days, even now also, nobody will share the rocket technology as our Balram ji was telling. It's a rocket science, so everybody wants to keep. So they are not interested to share. So we learn only by the failures, and okay, this time I have made this mistake, so next time. So like that, we modified and modified and modified. So we completed, we call it sounding rockets. It will go up to 70 kilometers and to analyze the wind pattern and other things with chaff. So you could see here a lot of Rohini rockets. This is initially for 3-4 years up to maybe 72. We were working on this thing. You could see the RH560 and other things. Today also I think ISRO, they are working with RH560 for some of the lower Earth monsoon predictions and other things. They are doing it. Then the government is very, they said don't burn more money on that, but we should have a proper goal. So what is the requirement? There are two requirements. One is the satellite or a big electronic eye, I will put it. You should be very close to the Earth to see and find out. So that is called remote sensing. It is very close, but we cannot put it 100 kilometers, it will fall down. So minimum it has to be around 500 to 600 kilometers above. And it should be around 1,000 kg payload, because it will account of a bigger electronic eye. So it will go around and you can take photographs. We can, the border also you can take, maybe Gargil War and other times, and all those things we might have used. So this remote sensing satellite is one of the requirements. So we have to put a satellite close to the Earth, like as I said, 600 kilometers. So we designed a launch vehicle is called PSLV, Polar Satellite. Of course, prior to that, we have not started directly. We started with SLV, so satellite launch vehicle, Kalam. And first also failed. Then we went PSLV. And now I think PSLV is a very successful workhorse rocket. Even we are launching for other countries also. So that is the first one. So another requirement is we have to put a satellite which will be synchronous. What do you mean by synchronous? The Earth's surface speed and the satellite speed, it should be the same, so that the satellite will be always above you, especially for communication, for your TV, for your all those things and many things. So the communication satellite should be always seeing above you. So what height it should be there? It should be like 36,000 kilometers. If you put any object, the speed will be equivalent to the surface speed of the Earth. So if you put a satellite at 36,000 kilometers, the satellite will be always above you. So the communication will be easy. So there are two requirements. One is lower Earth orbit for remote sensing, and 36,000 kilometers for communication purpose, we require another satellite. So that is INSAT. So we require GSLV, Geosynchronous Launch Vehicle. So there are two types. Well, GSLV puts only 2,000 kg, but we want to increase the satellite weight, and we want to go for manned mission, and we want to go to Chandrayaan, and all those things. A heavy, lift-off giant vehicle. So we put it Mark III, which is the one which we have flight tested also recently. Maybe now the GSLV currently, I think coming next month, 12th of August, again one more flight is there. We are going to have tomorrow one more meeting also on that. So this is a thing. Well, I will come back when I joined. What is rocket? I think very nicely, showingly, Balramji was telling rocket science. Suppose somebody says it is very difficult, it's not a rocket science. So like that. So mainly because I address here a little bit more towards your applied there, you are students of, having science background, mostly on chemistry and physics and other things. So the liquid rocket, any rocket, more than 80% is chemicals, because we require anything to burn, we require fuel. The fuel has to burn, we require an oxidizer. So we are all air-breathing engines. Myself, yourself, or any animals or plants, or we are all air-breathing engines. We breathe the air, we take the oxygen, we take fuel, and it goes to every cells and it burns. Of course, you know very well. So maybe in a day we may require 2,000 to 2,500 calories or 1,000 calories we may require. So you take sometime liquid fuel, maybe coffee or milk or juice or something. Sometimes you take idli or dosa or chapati like a solid fuel. So it goes and you take it, and oxygen you are breathing and it goes and burns. So anything to burn, you require fuel and oxygen. It's simple. Like a human body rocket is also same principle, only it is working. So we have a chemical rocket. The first three, what I have put, solid, liquid and hybrid. This is called chemical rockets. That chemical is used for burning the purpose. So if fuel and oxidizer both are in the solid form, it is called solid rocket. If both are in the liquid form, it is liquid rocket. If one is liquid, one is solid, it is called hybrid rocket. Okay, little bit we did work on hybrid, so we may not. Still, the Americans, they are doing some work for the missiles and other things. We will not worry too much about it. So we will concentrate mostly on solid and liquid today, a little bit. And towards the end of my career, I did little bit work on nuclear propulsion. Okay, well, that also, since because of the safety reasons and other things, we have not done much. And solar, nothing. Maybe I think applied science people, you can think of how to, the sun rays can be converted, because the efficiency is very less, and you can find out some easy method to convert the photon, how it can convert it into electricity. So many ways you can think of to bring the solar propulsion system. Still, we have not done much work on that. So when you talk about a rocket, I think it is nothing but a pressurized vessel. You can take a balloon and you just blow, and just leave it on the air, it goes here and there, because the air is getting out through the neck, so it pushes the balloon away. Yeah. Maybe half a hour day. Same thing in rocket also. In generate, in a very high pressure cylinder, a high pressure, and expand through a hole, a nozzle. So you might have already, physics student may be very well aware of every action there is a reaction. So you may be knowing what is momentum. So any mass which moves with a m dot, with a flow rate of m dot, with a velocity of v, so you get the momentum thrust, we call it m dot into dE. So we have to accelerate fast and get to the highest velocity at the exit of the pipe. That's what our requirement. So in solid propellant, as I explained, it is a very simple system. There is no moving part, and specifically both are in solid. But one danger is both the fuel and oxidizer are pre-mixed and it is put inside. So anytime with the minimum energy it can ignite and it is readily available. So maybe for missile and other things, maybe you might have already heard Agni 1, Agni 2, they are all powered missiles. So it will be readily, we can make and keep it ready, so that anytime if you want to work, that will be readily available. So in solid propellant, it is simple. There is no moving part, nothing. A pressurized vessel. Inside there will be a propellant. So if you ignite, the gases will go out and other things. Maybe what other things required is the oxidizer. Nothing but any chemical which gives oxygen is the oxidizer. Maybe pure oxygen is good, and in the solid form it is very difficult. So ammonium perchlorate is having O4, so it is the donor of the oxygen. So we select the ammonium perchlorate or ammonium nitrate, but ammonium perchlorate is more suitable. And then it will be bonded, mixed with any polymeric binder. Even road tar is a good fuel, but it may not be a very good, energy wise if you consider. So people, they have used a lot of, that's why I said even I have taken rubber also. But later, I think thanks to all the chemistry people, especially the applied science, maybe a lot of science students, you are all there. You should be very proud. I think those days in BSSC, lot of chemistry, MSc, and doctorate people, they worked night and day. So they have developed a propellant called hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene and carboxy terminated polybutadiene. These are all the two things. And polybutadiene acrylic nitrile, PBON, we call it. The PBON is the one which we used in American for space shuttle, but we also used initially, but now currently we are using HTPB and CTPB. They are much more energetic. So currently the HTPB and CTPB are manufactured in India itself. So we are mixing with ammonium perchlorate. We have our own ammonium perchlorate in Kerala in one of the places called, near Ernakulam. It's a very big plant, nearly about 450 tons of ammonium perchlorate we can produce per year. And I have written a little bit in between aluminium. I'm a little bit proud to tell that one because when you are mixing only ammonium perchlorate with this polymeric binder is sufficient. But when you add aluminium, the temperature goes high. You might have seen in Diwali crackers, most of the crackers, they use aluminium. So I am also, my native place is very close to Sivagasi or Madurai, so where the aluminium company is there. So one day, at that time in 1969 or 70, right? Mr. Kuru was in charge for the propellant manufacturing in aluminum powder that they are using it for crackers. So we mixed with solid propellant, you believe it or not, it was a really good performance. So from that time onwards, near about 13 to 14% of aluminum is mixed with this binder and ammonium perchlorate. We have the biggest solid propellant thing. So I'm simply one small rocket I'm showing to you. This is a PSLV strap-on. And you could see the sketches portion is the propellant, but throughout there will be a hole inside. It may be a star shape or a circle, the nozzle. So through the nozzle only the gas expands and it gives the thrust. So this is a typical solid rocket shape. That this is almost like 10-ton propellant. So in PSLV, we use 4 numbers or 6 numbers, depends upon the payload. And now private companies also, they started manufacturing these strap-on motors. This is the PSLV core, we call PS125. And you could see how the propellant looks like, because you might have seen normally in launch, you will see only the smoke and the rocket is going up. But in the first stage, in the inside, the propellant grain will be like this. This is the ammonium perchlorate with HTPB is mixed, and you could see the center, the star-shaped cylinder is, mandrel. First we will put, then we will remove it. It's a little risky job. I think almost like 12, 13 years back at the time of removal, and it ignited and 6 people died on the spot in shock. It's all history. So then later we have taken a lot of care and other things. So this is about solid. Well, I worked in solid till 1975. Then some of my colleagues, they started working with liquid using, acid, nitric acid with aniline. It's not a good liquid rocket fuel, but still they started with that. So they started with the 600 kg small rocket. At that time, in France or in Europe, and they also developed a rocket called ELDO program. They developed nearly about, that's also a 4-stage rocket, and they developed a rocket and launched from Australia, Womerong launching facility. The first stage is done by UK, second stage by French, third stage by Germany, and the fourth stage is by Italians. You believe it or not, all the 13 flights failed due to one of the reasons, and they started blaming each country, and they said it is, even you believe it or not, once they forgot to put the igniter also in the solid rocket. So such a blunder and type of thing happened, and they fought. Then they said they will close the project. At that time, French people, they took a lead in 1970, and they started a program called Ariane. Now today it is a very famous Ariane rocket. You might have heard Ariane 1, 2, 3, 4, and Ariane 5 now. Currently it is working. So they started working with the participation of, again, with the Germans and Italians, not the UK. UK was not happy. So you may be knowing that even though the rocket, the basic things was much earlier developed by Chinese, by Flying Arrow or the Tipu or so many things. But first, very reliable and scientific rocket was made by Germans, especially when Hitler was there. And it was used only for the, for missile purpose. So V2 rocket was the first one. They used a turpentine and made. There was a mundane place. It's a very big cave. So one side raw material will go and the outlet rocket will come. So they have launched, and many. Well, 1945, everything was over. Hitler was defeated, and all the top engineers were taken by Americans, and technicians were taken by, most of them were to Russia, and very few they have come to France. So they are also in this Ariane program. So the French people, they came and discussed with, I think, our propulsion chief, Dr. A. Muthanayagam. So they have offered, okay, you allow some of your Indian engineers to come and work with us, and we will give you the technology of transducers, so you can use it in India as well as you can give us. So there is no money transaction. So in that program, in 1976, I am lucky enough to go to France and learn about the liquid rocket along with them for the development of today what you are seeing, Ariane 1 to 4, that BCAS engine which was used there. I worked for more than 3 years in France, and along with the 40 engineers. So we have come back and we started liquid propulsion properly in ISRO. So I was assigned to do the fabrication of all the components. Okay, before that is a small thing. The liquid rocket can have a monopropellant also, and we use normally the monopropellant is hydrazine. And all of you know, the chemistry people may be knowing, and here mostly it is chemistry only. That's why I am always repeatedly telling it is a hydrazine, it's a amine. So we use either hydrazine directly or with monomethyl. So it will react in a catalytic bed. Basically, it is a iridium-based catalyst. The moment it touches, it starts, reaction is very fast, and it goes to 1000 degrees Celsius. And it will begin a gas. So the gas is expanded, you get thrust. Of course, it will give very low thrust. So for control rockets and other things, we use this one. So as I said, the liquid rocket, both fuel and oxidizer, both are in the liquid form. Like you think about your car, you have a fuel in your tank. Same thing, rocket, we have fuel in one of the tank. And since we are running, as I already explained, we are air-breathing people. So the car also breathes the air. So you take the air and it goes into the IC engine, it burns, and it gives the energy to rotate. So that's all in the IC engine. But in rocket, if you go above 50 kilometers, there is no air. So there is no oxygen. So you cannot breathe. So definitely we have to carry oxygen also. So that's why we require fuel and oxidizer. So both are in the two tanks. Well, but in solid, you have seen there is a big tube which is burnt and very high pressure. But here, if I store the fuels in high pressure, the tank weight will very high. So the rocket may not go up. So what to do? So the fuel tanks are all thin wall aluminum alloys, so that it will be only 2 or 3 bar. But in the combustion chamber, in the down, what you are seeing, the combustion has to take place at very high pressure. You may be knowing your grandmother might have used, for burning stick and wood, and your mother might have used the kerosene. That time they will pump it. So when the pressure is more, the energy release is high. So thermodynamically, you can say we have to extract the maximum energy from the fuel. So you have to go and burn it at high pressure. So normally in rocket, we will burn around 60 to 100 bar. Of course, the Russians and now currently Americans, they are doing with 150 or 200 bar engines are also available. But India, we select around 60 bar approximately. 60 is our combustion pressure. If you want to have the combustion pressure of 60 bar, you have to inject the fuel inside. So both the injection has to be much more than 60 bar. So if you are keeping that pressure in the tank, the weight will be very high. So you require a feed system or a pump. So in between the combustion chamber and the storage, we have 2 pumps, one for fuel, one for the oxidizer. Well, you in your house, you may have a small electric motor running the pump to lift the water to your upper tank. But here, my requirement is very high. That may be only 2 or 3 bar. Here it is maybe around, we require about 100 bar outlet pressure. So to give that pressure, the requirement is nearly about 6,000 horsepower. So that much electrical motor I cannot keep here, and I don't have power also there. So what I have to do? So it will be run by a turbine. So this is called turbine driven pump. It is called turbo pump. So in the center, what you are seeing is the small, this one is called turbine. This is the turbine and 2 pumps. And even the turbine, it cannot run of its own. You require some gas to run, a gas turbine or a steam turbine. So the gas generator generates the gas and drives the turbine and this. So this whole unit is called feed system. It feeds the propellant to the combustion chamber. So we call it feed system. So 2 pumps. This is a very, very complicated system. So so you could see here, this is a technology we acquired from France. So you could see the valves and turbo pump and other things. So we could see this is the chamber. After we have come back, I was in the fabrication team. So we could develop the PS2 engine today. The second stage of PSLV and GSLV strap-ons and second stage, all are powered by this BCAS engine, which is using, you may ask the chemistry man, what is the propellant used? We call it UDMH and N2O4. Unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine is the fuel, and nitrogen tetroxide, N2O4. O4, again, it is a donor of oxygen. So these are all the 2. Both are not environmentally good, or to work with it is not good, because you know very well, chemistry people, any amine or hydrazine or UDMH, any leakage or any even ppm level, if you inhale, it is carcinogenic in nature. So you will get into cancer. If it is N2O4, it is mostly corrosive. So even I think, if I am correct, about 15 years back, before my retirement, if I am correct, one casual labor, he went in Mahendra Hill and the tanker was kept. He was so thirsty, he thought it is a water tank. He opened the valve and the N2O4 gust, and on the spot he died. So a lot of accidents, such things can happen. So this is a rocket, what you are seeing in the left side. And maybe initial stage, we test the rocket in Mahendragiri. So you could see the engine testing, and it will be gimbal, slightly it will be turning. You could see the flame and other things. This is burning with the N2O4. And very important thing, the nozzle is getting red hot. It is only 7 seconds or 3 seconds, but it has to burn for 140 seconds. These alloys are called superalloys. You may ask, what is superalloy? Superalloy is the alloy which will retain its strength at elevated temperature. If you take a stainless steel, it's good, But when you increase the temperature to 500, 600 degrees Celsius, the strength comes down very fast. But there are nickel and cobalt alloys which can retain the strength at elevated temperature. So we use such alloys. So this is one of the super alloy we use for the divergent. So these are all the gamut of engines we produced in liquid propulsion system. So first 1 Newton and 11 Newton, these are a very small rocket which is used for the satellite to control, or on the corner of the satellite this will be fixed for the remote sensing. And 22 Newton and 440 Newton is the very famous. I think you also might have heard, because of Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan, and many times it has to burn and take every orbit. And this is the one which was fired many times. And the material is very important because it has to burn for a longer duration. So we have a special columbium alloy. The columbium can withstand nearly about 2200 degrees Celsius, but it has a drawback. It can oxidize very fast. So we have to give you a coating called silicide coating. So it's all technology, more and more. That's what when Professor Balram was telling about rocket science, this is one of the very, very, very complicated and difficult engine. I've also worked in that for quite some time. And later, and I think you are seeing next one is 7.35, that is a PSLV 4th stage engine. And next one is the 75 kilonewton 7-ton engine. It's a cryogenic engine. That's the first engine I built in ISRO. Maybe we will see later. So this is the way finally the BCAS engine is assembled with the tankage and other things to send it to shore. This is the second stage of PSLV as well as GSLV. This is carrying nearly about 33 tons of N2O4 and UDMH, and it will be pumped inside this engine, and it burns for nearly about 140 seconds. This is the very marvelous engine we learned from French and we reproduced in India. And this is a 4th stage engine, and maybe you could see this is the stage. Very interestingly, the PS4 stage at top, what you are seeing like a lingam, is material is titanium. I think you might have physics students and chemistry students, and you might have studied about titanium. Titanium is having the highest strength and the density is half of the steel. So we call it in our engineering term, specific strength. Also, of course, you also maybe knowing. That is the strength divided by the, strength divided by the density. It should be very high. That's why nowadays we go for even, so these are all the stages built in Mahendragiri to send it to shore for flying. So you could see the PS2 is the PSLV 2nd stage, and PS4 is the 4th stage, and CAS is the cryogenic stage, and like that. And the L40 is the strap-on for the GSLV, and the L110 is Mark III. Now, latest one with the double storable engine with the biggest stage. So this is about the liquid. And one small 2-3 slides I introduced now for the chemistry student and physics students that may be interested. Well, I told the fuels what I used, N2O4 and UDMH, is not environment friendly. Now ISRO is looking for green propellant. What do you mean by green? It should be environmentally friendly propellants. So maybe hydrogen peroxide, maybe in most of the medical lab, you might have seen hydrogen peroxide used to clean the wound and other things. But maybe the concentration may be 10% or 5%, I don't know exactly. But for rocket usage, the hydrogen peroxide should be approximately around 80 to 90% concentration. So maybe if you are interested, some of you can start a startup company to produce hydrogen peroxide. Maybe ISRO will be very happy to buy that one. And second, now latest one is HAN and ADM. These are all the two chemicals which I think most of the people, they already started. I think ISRO also in VSLC, the chemical chemistry engineers, not engineers, chemistry scientists, maybe MSc or doctorate like you, they are also interested to produce hydroxyl ammonium nitrate, HAN. And already Americans, they with their specifically SP163, you can go to Google, you can search it. There will be a lot of literatures are available. Even if you want, I am also having some of the things I am interested to get it. Then ammonium nitrate, ADN. This is also very dinitrate. Sorry, that is also very interesting one. So these three things is a if you could develop, ISRO will be definitely interested to get it from. I think you are a applied science people and you have a good principal, Balram Pani. You can ask for some money and you can start working on that, and it will be very interesting. And you need not go for a very big engine. You do only with 10 Newton or 20 Newton, 1 kg thrust, a small flow rate. You can produce only 20 kg. That will be very useful. So this is the one, I think, HAN and ADN, both are very good for us. So it is the methanol, maybe the raw material to join and other things. I'm not a chemistry. You may be knowing better than me. You can do this work. Well, now I will come back to my almost I have covered half of my journey. So around 86 or 87, when BCAS engine started flying, and ISRO, as usual, any any company, and if you are growing, there will be always pulling and other things. They asked me to get out from air storable and asked me to start cryogenic propulsion. You believe it or not, on the day I may not be knowing what is cryogenic. So I went to the library, I sat down and what is cryogenic, this, that, and started reading. So I have become little middle management. So they newly, some engineers and chemistry people and physics, they joined with me. So I started my cryogenic propulsion. As usual, when I start solid, I started with a very small. So here also I have taken gaseous hydrogen and gaseous oxygen. Both I have taken and I started trying to burn. Unlike N2O4 UDMH or solid propellant, solid propellant you require ignition. Here we require the moment it touches UDMH and N2O4, I think chemistry people will be knowing, they are calling hypergolic in nature. The moment it touches exothermically, a lot of heat generated and it ignites. There is no igniter is required for the PS2 or PS4 engines. But in cryogenic, when you go with hydrogen and oxygen, it is not, it is not exothermically, it will not react, or it's not hypergolic in nature. So you require an igniter to ignite. So I tried to do a lot of spark plug, this, that, and all those things. Finally, a flame came. So I was happy. So ISRO, there is a good practice. Almost every Monday, there will be a morning meeting and the director will be sitting. And if you are having anything to present, you can present. And it is very interesting, there it is like why ISRO has gone, not much hierarchy kind of thing. And even the young man has a lot of knowledge. And if he tells a good point, he will be appreciated and he will be. So that's one of the good, that is a very good culture, I will say, in ISRO. So today also, I hope it is followed. And so I presented a small flame with gaseous oxygen and gaseous hydrogen. Believe it or not, everybody laughed. What is this? It's a small, in roadside you can see flame. Then I started with liquid oxygen and gaseous hydrogen. Then they said it's slightly better. Then they said, why don't you go for liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen? In India at that time, there nowhere liquid hydrogen is available. So I thought of, everybody was importing. So I thought I will also import. So I asked one of my friend in France, in Air Liquide, can you give 5,000 liters of liquid hydrogen? He said, yes, I am ready to export. Only one problem. What is the problem? When it reaches Chennai airport, the tank will be empty. Why? Mr. Gandhi, this is cryogenic. Every day it will evaporate 4%. It will get out. So when it comes after 30 days, you will have only empty tank. Oh, then what I have to do, Mr. You put your own plant. Then I was happy. Okay. At that time, Professor U.R. Rao was the chairman, and he likes me, somehow. And I made a small representation. He gave me a 17 crore pre-project for cryogenic propulsion development. With that, I started a mini cryogenic, mini hydrogen plant. So how to make the hydrogen? So immediately I thought, okay, by refrigeration. So which is the boiling point of hydrogen? Okay, 22 Kelvin minus 250 degrees Celsius. So which can refrigerate? Maybe liquid helium. Liquid helium is 4 Kelvin. So you have to go to 4 Kelvin liquid. Where is liquid helium? So I searched. So at that time, in Delhi, your medical research center, they have a big MRI equipment. The magnet is cooled by liquid helium. So next, even without permission from director, I flown to Delhi. I went to the medical college. Maybe I am not the patient. So I searched where is the helium plant. So in one corner, maybe one diploma was sitting there and he might not have seen anybody for years. So when I reached there and I asked, he was so happy. So he explained about the helium cycle, how helium is produced. Then I got all the details. Then I placed the order for the same. And we got there. Then when I was buying, that gentleman asked, what are you going to do with this helium? I said, well, I am going to produce liquid. Then he said, where is hydrogen? So he asked me to buy a small electrolysis process to make. So why I am talking all those things, 99% is chemical work and physics. You are the people. So we are only engineers, we are only applied it. Basic is done only by you. That's what I'm repeatedly telling. So I started, then you believe it or not, 1987 end, if I'm correct, we could see the temperature reads 22 Kelvin. So we assume liquid hydrogen is getting produced. So I put a mini hydrogen plant, still it is there in Mahendra. So it started and we have to pressurize in the tank and we have to put it into the engine. So where is the tank? So I have to buy again to import. So I asked for 5,000 liter high pressure tank. Only two people are quoted. One is Mrs. Grayson from Germany and another person is Garlicky. So I asked Mrs. Grayson to come over here for negotiation because any government work, you have to reduce the cost. So we have to discuss and debate. So that gentleman told, no, in India, in roads, snakes and elephants are running. I will not come. Then I explained to him, nothing, Baba, you please come. He said, no, maximum I can come up to Mumbai by air. You come over there, we will discuss. Fine. So I went to Mumbai and had the discussion. Finally, he has agreed. So I brought the tank after 6 months. I put it and then we started, okay, of course, cryogenic, you know that. And I need not teach you what is cryogenic because you are all physics student and chemistry student. So minus 150 degree, like methane and argon or helium and nitrogen and oxygen, all are in the liquid form. So they are called the cryogenic fluids. So I use liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. So you may be asking, so difficult, why do you want to use cryogenic in rocket? The only simple question is, your friend is buying a bike, immediately you will be boosting with 1 liter. My engine, my vehicle is running for 50 kilometers. Somebody may say 55, somebody may say 30, but the petrol is only 1 liter. So the efficiency is high. So in rocket, when we talk solid man or liquid man or if I burn 1 kg of the fuel, how much thrust I will get? So this is a specific impulse, we call it. That is proportional to the combustion temperature and inversely proportional to the molecular weight. That is very, 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 very important. Inversely proportional to the molecular weight. So the molecular weight has to be very, very, very low. So if you go to the class table, periodic table, the atomic number 1 is the hydrogen. If you use hydrogen, you will get the maximum thrust. Good, but one deteriorated hydrogen is low density wise. That's why we have to liquefy it. But still, even if we liquefy it, is little, So we were making. So finally, I brought it, liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, and I fired a 1-ton engine. When I fired the 1-ton engine, very big blast. 2 times, 3 times, it was exploding like anything. So I was so sad. So every day I have to travel 70 kilometers from my home to do the test and come back tired. So one day my wife asked, why you was so much? So I said I could not develop this cryogenic engine. Always it is failing. So on the night when I was sleeping, so I thought about it. This liquid hydrogen is like a Maharaja. When it comes, everybody has to give. So when liquid hydrogen flows in the pipeline, it freezes everything. Nitrogen, CO2 or air or everything will freeze into a crystal. It goes and blocks. So it blasted. So if it is like a Maharaja, definitely there will be a Maharani to control. So who is the Maharani? Is the helium is the Maharani. So because helium will not get crystallized, helium will not get cooled. It will be will be there even liquid hydrogen comes. So immediately we start buying helium, and I purge the line first with helium and then allow the liquid hydrogen to flow. You believe it or not, that test was very successful. So everybody was enjoying. So finally 1-ton engine was developed and URA was happy, and he asked us to develop 12-ton engine for the flight, and we started. Good or bad, I don't know. The Russians came. The Russians said, why Mr. Gandhi, you are struggling too much. I will give the technology. Why don't you come to Russia? Well, I have also not seen Russia or Moscow. I said, fine, I will come. So I was the leader. Along with me, there are about 30 engineers and 4 industry people also. So we left, I think, 1993, if I'm right. Yeah, 1993. And I landed in Moscow. Maybe the temperature was only minus 16. It was very cold. So I started the work there, and it was very interesting. And you know that getting the technology from Russia, maybe it was a little difficult, and it was there. So the engine was fabricated in almost like 2,000 kilometers from Moscow. That town name is Uskatov. It is in Siberia. So I have to go there and frequently. So once I reached at that time, the temperature was minus 36. Even if you cry, the drop will stop in your cheek itself. So I was not walking from the railway station. 2 ladies, they came and received me, because why they have come is the old lady and the young girl. Only these 2 people only can talk English, the whole village or a town. So they have come. So they have take me in a car, and almost very close to the house, I have to walk few meters. So I was walking. You believe it or not, some 20 kids, they were running, trying to touch me. So I was so black. So they have not seen, they thought I have come from some other planet. So they touched me. So I was very, very happy. So in my village, young age, when a white man come, I used to run behind him. At least now some white kids are running behind me. So I was happy. So I went to the shop. Next day, it was very interesting. Most of the engines were operated by ladies and this thing, and somewhere everything was closed. They are not showing me much. I was not at all happy in the sense. So on next day, I was about to leave. They give a very big party, and they have started drinking vodka and all those things. And finally, they asked me to give a small talk. So I said, in India, before marriage, we will not see the girls. Of course, not now. I'm talking about 50 years back. So same thing in my case also. I went. My father said, you cannot say no. Then I went there, and a few seconds, a girl came and left. This is only so I saw her only a nose and ear and a lips little bit. By the time she left. So marriage was only after 1 month. So for 30 days, I used to integrate her face, how she will look like. So same thing, Mr. Here. You closed everything. I have seen only very few. I don't know what are the things you are doing here. So the director got wild. So immediately he asked, you please stay here. And he cancelled my ticket. And next day when I went, everything was open. So it was one of the very interesting day for me. So afterwards, I think we started learning cryo technology from Russia. Then I have come back after, I think maybe you know the story. Americans are not happy that Russians are giving the technology. So after 10 months, they said they asked us to get out. So we came back with whatever we know. So our government was kind enough to give to ISRO 300 crore project. I was the first project director to start. So what you are seeing is built. You know me, all my first test will be failed. Of course, this test also due to minor thing, it didn't explode, it burns. So maybe this is the first engine. And hydrogen also, when I said I put a plant, and hydrogen, it is in two ways, ortho and para. When you are producing the liquid, it should be converted from ortho to para. It's only a nuclear if it is a spinning, whether it is parallel or opposite. So that is the one. So maybe I think some of the chemistry people you might have studied, and it is very interesting. And Howbert, and this is the one Mahendra we are doing now by chemical process. But there are some nuclear process also. So why I have told this slide is, and some of the chemistry and physics students can take some interest, how to change the orientation of the rotation of the atom to the opposite side to make. That will be very interesting one. And this is the injector and all those things I made afterwards. This is the copper chamber at Mumbai, and this is the turbo machinery for pumping. And you could see the complication of the turbo pump, which is running 42,000 RPM. One side is liquid oxygen, right side is entering, and the liquid fuel pump, and it develops nearly about 140 bar. And later we developed the cryo stage by the time I also got retired. But of course, ISRO is kind enough to call me even now after my retirement. I used to go for most of the cryo meetings till the launching and other things. So even though first flight was not a success, but later it went very well. So out of 300 crore, I said first I put a mini hydrogen plant. Later I put a bigger plant. This is a 50 crore plant at that time. This is a Linde process, the refrigeration. And there is a air separation plant. So from there we take LN2 and cool the hydrogen. Hydrogen is first produced from naphtha. Naphtha is cracked and then cleaned, and then it is brought by this one. Then by Joule-Thomson effect, it is splashed, and we are getting 22 Kelvin, 20 Kelvin, 20.4 Kelvin of liquid hydrogen. So this is the biggest plant. From here only now Shar they are sending. Now we have put one more plant in Tanuku in Andhra Pradesh. There the hydrogen is available as a byproduct from the fertilizer plant that was cleaned, and then with my original idea of using helium refrigerant, they are using helium to cool, and they are taking. Now in India we have two plants, one in ISRO Mahendragiri and another one is in Andhra Pradesh. This is the test facility I used for firing, and nearly about 100 crore I spent for that. And you could see the backside white tank is LN2 tank, and the right side is the hydrogen tank flat. In the left side, white is the oxygen tank, and all evaporation, and the blue color is helium. All procured and assembled, and we tested. And finally, this is the test complex. From here only we are doing the test. And all these things I built, and finally I could get a very successful cryo engine test. So maybe this is my biggest journey in ISRO, and I have a lot of memories in the retired life to take. Leisure time I can think of many such things, many failures, many success, and friends, and so many things to understand our this time. So maybe I think all of you know the application side is a lot of, as I said, we have telemedicine, teleeducation, and earth observation. Now currently we are planning for a manned space flight, and there also I think now you are applied science man. If 3 people are sitting inside that cabin, within no time CO2 will improve. It will go very high. So the people will die. So what they have to do, they have to recirculate. They have to take out the air. They have to remove they have to control the CO2 inside. So how to do that? Only Russians, they are still, they are doing a better job. So please think about it. You can also make some, chemical absorbers or producers and converting the CO2, maintaining inside, because it's a closed cabin. They have to be there for a few days or now in months and years. So they have to have a CO2 controller. So how to absorb and convert and take it into this one is a very big job. So that's why I put this film. So there are a lot of things we can do. And maybe as I think in production they told, after my retirement, I spent a lot of money on ISRO 300 crore or making rockets. I thought of using my knowledge to do something for the common man. So the pollution is one of the biggest issues in even Delhi, I know. So now they are converting all the automobiles into CNG, but CNG is also. So if you are using hydrogen, it will be very nice. You could see here. So you can use the fuel cell. This is also again chemistry only. So the proton exchange membrane is nothing but Nafion. Nafion is the modified Teflon with a sulfur component. So this is also again Tupon has made it. Now in India, I think in Pune, CSIR is trying to make. Maybe I think one day Bhaskaracharya students also will make a good proton exchange membrane. A chemistry man will do that. So the hydrogen comes and the catalyst is platinum. So it strips the electrons and only H plus alone the proton membrane will permit. On the other side we have air with oxygen, it combines, so it has become only, the product is only water. So no pollution. So for Delhi man, this will be a biggest boom if you develop this one. So why I am telling this bus, what I have developed, now it is currently running in Ahmedabad, not on the road, but inside Tata campus. More than 60,000 kilometers it has covered. I have gone many times to that. I have also traveled inside. And we made almost like 6 buses. 3 buses are now there. 1 bus is in Delhi also. But filling station, and still government has not allowed hydrogen as the automobile fuel. Only after that, only we can take in the main road. I think you people can insist government to use hydrogen is the future, hydrogen, and you have to do. And you can make lot of hydrogen bus so that next year Delhi will be without any pollution, and your kids and your youngsters and everybody can go. So I will be very happy to come and drive this bus. It is already done by Tata and it is already there. And now I was told by some other company also, they are trying to make many numbers. Still, some of my friends, they are working on this. And maybe the last few slides, I put it. Why? Because I have seen this one in when I was working in France in 1975. Of course, now anywhere you can see this one. So finally, a man wants to have a small swing for this one. The project man specified, you can see, and it was understood by the division. And the engineer is always, safe. So he designed it and kept it on the floor. The production man is always so he put a small rope. The integration man, anyhow, he has to swing. So he cut the tree and he tried. So why I am putting this? Communication is very, very important. Think what is the final product, how it has made. Those and all those things. So initial period, you spend some time for your thing. Boss is coming, you discover something. So that should not be the case. So wherever you work for country, for you and other things. And always I love to do teamwork. I don't want to take everything is I am doing, this is my work. I will not keep my literature inside my cabin or this one. it should be, everybody has some potential. So we have to utilize, and we should have a teamwork. Maybe when you are working, you are there inside the pit. Maybe so many people may be watching. Don't worry about it. You do your job. Definitely it will be. So you could see here, and you may be working and working. Finally, you should not get tired. Maybe the goal, or you may achieve maybe very few feet after that. So continuously, you please try to work. And this is my last slide. I always say, if you break a egg intentionally, a chick died inside. But the egg breaks off its own, a life begins. So every student, I think you have to think of you, your life begins. So it brings a lot of things. It always begins from within. So thank you very much for very patiently listening, and I'm really happy to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I hope I have taken more time than I don't know.
No, sir, perfectly fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. It was certainly encouraging and inspiring. As we move forward, I request Olivia ma'am to proceed with the Q&A section.
Yes, thank you, Shubham. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful lecture. I think for a layman like me, I could understand quite a few concepts, which is really great, sir. And your entire journey has been very inspiring, very motivational to all of us. So thank you a lot for sharing your experience with us. So, sir, I think there are a few questions that the participants want to ask you.
Sure.
Okay, sir. So the first question is that one of the participants wants to know that how did the engineers solve the issue of stabilization of rockets? As in, what they really did to balance such a huge structure at the first place.
You mean balance the structure?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How did they stabilize the rockets?
Okay, this is, aerodynamically, see, anything is lifting off. So we require certain thrust to weight ratio. So if the total rocket is 400 ton, if you produce 300 ton, it will not lift. So you have to produce more than 400 ton thrust. At least it should start with 1.2 G. So it will slowly lift off. So the question is how it is stable. Okay, good. So what we will do is, the aerodynamically they will first, the thrust is you are giving, it is moving. So the total L by D ratio is also very important, because it should not, but on the way it will try to roll. So you may not be seeing in the flight, there are anti-roll small thrusters are there. So that will correct. So the program will be taken, a 6D path program will be there. So the moment the rocket slightly deviates, the nozzle will be tilting other direction. So it will take. So this is one. As he correctly told long back, ASLV, there was a lot of issues. So on the way, like a pencil, it broke down into pieces also. So we have studied. And as I told, the material selection is very, 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 very important. Now, for example, the motor case for the first stage is maraging steel, which is having nearly about 5 times of the normal steel strength. So that is why with the internal pressure, it could take steady, so it will be there. So the aerodynamically, first we will, 2-3 things we will do. First, a small model they will make. They will go to NAL in Bangalore. There are a lot of wind tunnels are there. So they will keep the model and allow the wind to fall, and they will study how the bending moment and how the pressure distribution and all those things. And unnecessarily, there should not be any outside projections. Otherwise, that will create some momentum and it will break the edges. So like that, it is a very big There are a lot of more than, in my opinion, more than 100 to 200 engineers. They are working on aerodynamic stability analysis. Your question is correct. It is a very, very important thing to do that. Next.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you a lot, sir. So my next question is that it is about ISRO actually. So one of the students wants to know that how shall ISRO reach the students more often, hereby maintaining more involving active image in the eyes of general public?
It is there or they want to do more?
Sorry, sir?
I didn't get the question. He is
Okay.
asking whether we are doing more or it is less.
No, sir. He wants to ask how shall ISRO reach the students more to more actively involve the students? Like, are there any internship projects or
Yeah,
you know how?
they have. If you go to the Google, this one, you type ISRO, every day message is coming. They are conducting classes, and we have a program. They are going to villages with mobile some thing. They explain and they take some models and all those things. And even this, they have selected some scientists. They will go and take classes in some of the universities and other things. So like that, we are telling. In addition to that, nowadays the media itself is too good. The moment we launch or anything, throughout people are aware of what is going on. So these are all the things. I think if I'm correct, they are now Mahendragiri and Bangalore, everywhere they are keeping museum. So if you are going to Mahendragiri as a for the school education excursion, if they go, they are permitting up to the museum. You can go there and see from the beginning whatever I told, full size rocket and other things, all those things you can see there also. In Trivandrum, VSSC, they have the church building where we joined as an engineer. That building is converted into a museum. You can go there and see there also. Like that, we are spreading.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir. Thanks for the information. Next, we have a question. So it is a slightly different question. So it says that what is the scope of a biologist in Indian space industry? Are they even under consideration by ISRO?
Sure. I think earlier it was not much, but now I think there are a lot of things. See, as I said, 4 people are, 3 astronauts are sitting inside. So the disposal of, that all your urine and other things and how to do that, how to convert, and even eating. Originally they are taking, you cannot eat because of the low G, this one. So they can take only through the test tube. You have to press it. So what type of food and space food itself, you should have all your fibers, this one, protein, hydrocarbon, fat, and everything in proper composition. And it should be little tastier also. So you cannot take like what we are doing at home, sambar, rasam, and all those things you cannot take. So you should have.
Sir.
So there are people working. All these things required biology experts. So now there are a lot of people they are working on that. Even private companies also they are working for that.
Okay, sir. Sir, then we have another question. That actually the participant wants to know what is happening in Skyroot presently, and when can we expect the first flight of Vikram 1 rocket?
Oh, very good. Well, I was also when I after my retirement I used to go very often to BSSC and LPSC. So one of the days about 3 years back, if I'm correct, Pawan met me. He was also working there at that time. So he said, "Sir, I am going to start." So I was also making, "What will you do, man? Rocket making is very difficult." Then he explained what are the things he has. He's a youngster and a bright man, and I am not, youngsters nowadays. Of course, in your college, you are all there. I could see everything is in your fingertips, and you have plenty of knowledge and other things. When I listened, I was convinced. Then he asked when initially, can you be the advisor for our work? Then since I am also staying in Hyderabad, due to other reasons and other things. So it was very convenient for me. Then I said, okay, I will come. So he resigned and he started. He asked me as an advisor initially. I am looking after all the liquid propulsion side, and there are now currently more than around I think 75. Now in another 1 month it will become 80 or 100. That is the strength of ours. We started only with 5 or 6. Our aim is okay. It is not to compete with ISRO or any other thing. That's not also possible, because that is like a think tank. They have I am also from there. I cannot say they are not good or bad on this thing. But here, very interesting thing is the latest technology we would like to adopt. In the sense, you may immediately ask why ISRO is not using. No, ISRO has developed for the last 30, 40, 50 years. So anything is working, nobody wants to touch. Let me be very frank. Suppose if it is a material, if I want to change, then you have to do a lot of tests, then only you can put it. So why do you want? So let it fly. But currently, the technology level is so high. When I was there, the 3D printing is only for plastic. Now, currently, the 3D printing has become for materials. I think all of you physics man or chemistry man, you may be knowing. On titanium powder can be fused by laser beam or electron beam, and you can build the component which is designed by a computer. You can design it in 3D. Directly, you give it to the machine. The component is coming within 1 hour in your hand. The same thing will take. I didn't. If you want, I can. I could not show you the component what I made. So 3D printed titanium component. I made it in 1 day. That will take months and months. So that is the new one. Second one is on solid rocket in elsewhere or everywhere. We use I said maraging steel. It's a high strength, but in our current programs we are using carbon motor case. All are I said the specific strength. The strength is high, the density should be low. So we are planning now. Currently, about 2-3 weeks back, we have pressure tested a huge motor case for the solid rocket very successfully. So maybe by end of this year, we will fire a rocket in the ground at Sriharikota, maybe. Third stage of the Vikram, we are planning to fire it. So that also will take place. And I'm correct, it is going well. And I have already conducted few tests with the control rocket. Just now I was explaining, when your rocket is going, it will rotate. So you will require roll control. So 800, 150 Newton, it is in Newton. So here also we are using N2O4 and UDMH as the fuel and oxidizer, a small package, plus towards the terminal, adjusting the velocity, which has to give higher velocity. So these things I am currently working. So already fired 1 rocket, it went also successful. Vikram 2, we are planning for a cryogenic rocket. Well, because my experience is only on that. So I am not using liquid hydrogen or this one. Now, because why I am telling is, the private company's aim is, that's what I want, use the new technology to bring down the cost per kilo of the payload. So today, 1 kg, if I want to put in space, maybe you require 1 crore. But that's why, very difficult. Suppose if I reduce to 20 lakhs, then people are ready to come. So how to reduce? One is minimum manpower. Second one is apply the new technologies. Third one is the fabrication time and other thing to reduce, and you give the payload at a lower cost. That is the only advantage of going for the private company, this one. So then only you can compete enough to do that one. Suppose today, of course, like a similar small satellite, because now currently bigger rockets and other things nowadays, the charm is coming down, except for manned mission and other things. Because electronics, I think a physics man may appreciate a lot of, it was from wall to transistor to now VLSA to integrated chip to, now it is coming to nano.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, there are still a few questions left. Is that okay, sir?
No problem.
Okay, sir. Okay, just participants, I just wanted to inform you that the feedback link is now active and it has been shared on the chat box. So it is active only till, half an hour. So all of you, please fill it fast because only then you will get the participation certificate. And all of you have received an OTP in the mail when you had registered for the webinar. So you have to use that OTP for filling the feedback form. Okay, sir. So I think I will take up only one or two questions. So there is a very interesting question from Vijay sir actually. So he wants to know that how microbes like bacteria or fungi have a role in rocket science or space research. Microbes like bacteria.
I didn't.
Sir, actually, I'm talking about the microorganisms here. So have you come across any issues in which microorganisms have a role in rocket science or space research?
Yeah, one place I have come across. Production of hydrogen. See, today production of hydrogen is the biggest question. Even though I always advocate hydrogen is the future, Where is hydrogen? Hydrogen is not available in the air. You have to split water or hydrocarbon. If you split the hydrocarbon, there is no use, again pollution and all those things. So you have to use only polar side. So when you go to, there are many methods of hydrogen. One is electrolysis. Of course, you use electricity, but it is not good. So there are some people, they are working with algae. The algae can split the water into oxygen and hydrogen. So the microbes, whatever I understand what is this thing, if they could split, and that will be a very big invention, and if hydrogen can be produced, and even the algae, what I was telling is, it is a very slow process. It will develop a very, few grams of hydrogen only comes out, but that is not a good one. Even Muruga Chettiar, the group, as well as in Delhi also I forgot the name because we had one group earlier. And he was trying to, some feast we take biryani and other things. These people, they feed the algae with some chemicals or some good protein or something. So it will produce more hydrogen. So maybe that area, microbes, if they could develop the split the water, it is a Nobel Prize power or a low minimum this thing with naturally if they could do nothing like that. And one more area is they were trying to see any life is there beyond Earth, some other place. So we sent a capsule to 100 kilometers and other things, and take the whatever is available there and bring down, and they try to analyze any life thing is there, any micro system is there. So we put a cryo trap, we call it. So because it should not die immediately also. So immediately the cryo will trap, will open, and it will suck, and then it will close, and we bring down. So maybe some scientists, they say some migrated from some other place it has come. These are all the two areas I have listened to this micro.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, my next question is, a participant, a very enthusiastic participant wants to know that if he wants to start his own space startup, what are the things that he should keep in mind?
Okay, one is idea, what he wants to do. Anyway, he should be very clear. First, the goal. What he may have some knowledge on some particular area. Maybe nowadays, when I met the ISRO chairman, he said, "Why do you want to make rocket? You can make a good chip in India itself, a good diode, a good resistor, even a good number. We are all imported. Even why you go to that level?" When I used to go, I'm a heart patient. Sometimes I used to go to meet my family doctor in Trivandrum at that time. We talk about PSLV, GSLV. Finally, one day that gentleman asked, "You talk so much about rocket, Mr. Gandhi, but in the operation theater, when I want to put a knife, they remove the skin. That particular blade, still it is important. Why don't you make such things first?" Like that he asked. So the student, he wants to make on space anything. It's really good nowadays. In Hyderabad itself, there is one more company there. He's making for the satellite. Just if you are having 50 satellites are there to push it in another direction, how to push that itself is a mechanism. So open and push it. That is one. So many areas are there. For example, you take the battery. See, the storage of energy is the biggest question. Now you are all chemistry applied people, whether it is hydrogen cell or lithium ion, or so many things. Now it is progressively it is going, but still the weight. And another one is you could not store only the fuel cell. If you are feeding continuously, it works. That also 5,000 hours or 6,000 hours. Then again, it is. I work for some time in that also. Whatever I have told. So there are n number of areas for the startup company, but people are interested to fund, provided you have a clear cut the product. Then only people are also intelligent. They don't want to just like that fund for you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, I think this will be the last question of the day because we are running short of time here. So the last question is that one wants to know that how does ISRO carry out projects at such a low budget as compared to NASA or any other foreign space agency?
Such a?
Like as compared to any other foreign space agency, how does ISRO carry out the projects at such a low budget?
Yeah, only thing is that I was telling, we are very clear. We don't want to make many engines and many rockets. If you go to Russia, if you every industry, they made thousands of rocket engines. And finally, of course, you have seen Cosma, this, that, and so much money they have spent on rocket. And similarly, Americans also, they develop Atlas, this, that, and so on. Now, slowly they are coming down. But from the beginning, we are wise. We don't want to, of course, our country, this itself, funding itself is good. So we don't want to spend the money, because we have other priorities, like we have a well or water, or so many issues are there for food and so many things. So we cannot spend more money on that. So we want, our aim is two things that we already achieved. Now, maybe even for the human flight, there are a lot of questions now whether we require or not. What are you going to achieve? Okay, maybe pride. More than that, I don't think we don't have much to say on that. But still, we are a big nation. Definitely, we are afford to give money for them to do that test. It is good only, nothing wrong. So compared to them, we are very focused only on low Earth orbit, this one and this one. Now, currently, our government wants ISRO alone may not do every fabrication, everything. You give it to the private companies, let them also do it, and you do like a NASA, concentrate on R&D work. That kind of system is slowly it is coming up. Thank you.
sir.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for all your patiently, and I have to thank Vijay Kumar once again for considering me to give you a talk. Maybe thank you very much, and
It's my pleasure.
Gopal nicely talked about physics and other things, and I have seen many, and Olivia Roy and Ramesh Kumar, so many people, and I'm very very happy. And today day was a good day for me to sit with you and exchange. Thank you.
For us
Thank
also,
you very
sir.
much.
Just a minute, sir. Just.
Yeah.
Sir, firstly, I would like to thank you on behalf of every peer present here. It was very generous of you to share such an interactive session. We were very thankful of you. And before we conclude today's event, I would like to call upon screen the Dr. Ramesh sir, convener of ECA BCAS, for his vote of thanks towards you. Sir.
Hello, I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. To the one and all present here, I would like to thank Professor Balram Pani, Principal Bhaskaracharya College of Applied Sciences and Dean of Colleges, Delhi University, for providing immense support to make this event successful. A very special thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Vasudevan Gandhi, for enlightening us with their knowledge. So today's webinar was full of knowledge and interesting things. It gave deep insights into the topic and also revealed some interesting facts. Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Gandhi to taking out time from their busy schedule and sharing precious time with us. Thank you so much, sir. I must also thanks to our ECA committee members, especially thanks to Vijay Nalla sir, Dr. Pawan sir, Dr. Olivia Roy, Dr. Harind Kumar sir, Dr. Rakesh sir, for working hard for the past few days to make this event successful. A big thank you to our student coordinator, Mr. Subham, Mr. Pratyuman, and also thanks to Mr. Shush. And I also thanks to all the participants for attending this webinar. So once again, thank you to all of you. I want to mention one thing, that it is truly great that Gandhi sir was impressed with our beautiful campus, as communicated to Vijay Nalla sir. So on the behalf of college and ECA committee, I would like to welcome you to visit college whenever it is possible, sir.
That's good. Thank you. I will come one day, definitely.
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, just national anthem is there.
Sir, please turn on the camera for the photo shoot. After that, we will. After that, national anthem will be.
Sir,
please turn on the camera for the photo. All the participants, please turn on the camera.
I request all the active participants here to turn on the video for the moment. It's just for the formality. We'll be taking a photo shoot.
A group photo.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Someone is taking?
Rakesh sir, please take the picture. Rakesh sir, Manoj sir, please.
एक मिनट बस गैलरी व्यू में ले लेते हैं.
अच्छा एक मिनट.
So many participants still have not turned on their camera. Camera on कर लीजिए तभी फोटो ले पाएंगे सबका अच्छे से.
Maybe please go ahead because the session should not be late.
Yes sir, it is.
ठीक है. ओके राकेश सर, हो गया सर?
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay sir. Sir, please stand up for the
Sir, just a minute,
national
sir.
anthem.
National anthem.
National anthem. Pawan sir, please play the national anthem. Pawan sir, please play the national anthem.
I have played, sir. It is starting in a moment. I have played, sir.
भारत भाग्य विधाता
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा
द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा
विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा
उच्छल जलधि तरंग तव शुभ नाम जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे काहे तव जय गाथा
जन गण मंगल नायक जय हे
भारत भाग्य विधाता जय 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 जय
Thank you everyone for this wonderful session. You all can now disconnect. If you have not filled the feedback form, fill the feedback form first. The OTP has been mailed to you to your registered mail ID. With that being said, we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you, Shubham. Thank you all for attending this webinar. Please fill the feedback form. All the participants, please fill the feedback form. All the registered participants, please fill the feedback form.